I'm the founder of Signworld. Next month, 33 years in business. 33 years in business. And it's been a fantastic, fantastic run. What we're going to do today is we're going to just do a question and answer period. So we're expecting 4 Signworld owners. It looks like 2 of them are slightly delayed for now, but hopefully they'll join us any minute. Meanwhile, I'll have the 2 that we have on camera introduce themselves. Roger Carroll's coming online here. So Kobe Losberg, Kobe, why don't you give everybody a wave and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you used to do and so forth. Go ahead, Kobe.
Well, my name is Kobe Losberg. I own Legendary Custom Signs and Graphics in Manassas, Virginia. We've been in business about 16 months. Before that, I spent 23 years in the Navy, and then I spent about 8 or 10 years doing government consulting, professional services kind of work. 4.5 of those as a partner in a consulting firm. Decided I wanted a different view, so started looking around for what I wanted to do next. Found what I wanted, sold out to my partners and said, Ken, let's get on board and do this thing. That was about a little over 2 years ago.
Okay. And what's your goal for, we're coming to the end of the year, how are you going to come in sales-wise?
Oh, shoot, I think we're skirting around 210 or 220,000 in sales for the year.
Okay. And have you been in business open all year long? Yes, all year. This is your first full year. First full year.
Been in business for about 16 months.
Right. How many employees are you up to now?
I have, besides me, I have 2 full-time employees.
Okay, got it. And Roger Carroll. Roger, give us a wave. Okay, introduce yourself. Tell everybody about your business and what you used to do.
My name is Roger Carroll. I own Cowtown Graphics and Signs in Fort Worth, Texas. The nickname for Fort Worth, Texas just happened to be Cowtown. I thought that'd make a wonderful name for a sign company. Prior to that, I spent 25 years in the apparel business, primarily in outerwear. And when it came time to move on, I hooked up with Ken, and we decided to pull the trigger on this.
Okay. And how many years you've been in business now, Roger?
This is our 7th.
7th year. How many employees are you up to?
10.
10. And how big of a facility are you in now?
We're in 5,000 square feet now. We have 10 employees. This year we'll do $1.25 million gross. My lease is up in June of next year, and we're moving to 10,000 square feet at that point in time.
Okay. You got the building all picked out already?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Very good. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess we're still waiting for Larry Foster. So Jack Warner, Jack, do you want to tell us about your business?
My name is Jack Warner. I'm currently the president of Signworld, but I joined Signworld 25 years ago as an operation, just like you might do. I named it 3D Signs after 3 of my boys, Dennis, Danny, and David. I started in 1,200 square feet with 1 employee. I ended up in 5,000 square feet with a staff of 11, doing about 1.3 million in sales. I then sold that operation, went into a sort of a partnership arrangement with Ken to learn his end of the business. Finished buying him out 6 years ago and became the president owner of Signworld. Ken has stayed on in a semi-retirement role and still has many functions and duties. So when I answer questions today, if it goes to my experience running an operation, I'll speak from that perspective. If it goes more to training and policy, I'll speak from that viewpoint. So depending on the question, my answers might come from here or from here. Larry Foster, have you joined us yet? Are you on phone? Sheree, you might want to give him the call-in phone number and have him do that while his computer's still updating. And then give us a heads up, let us know when Larry comes in.
Okay, well, we're going to open it up to a Q&A. So this is your chance to ask your hardball questions. So whatever your greatest fear is, whatever your greatest concern, turn it into a simple, open-ended question. Ask your question, and each one of the Signworld owners will answer your question from their perspective. So as soon as Larry Foster chimes in, you'll get 4 answers to every question. Right now, it'll be 3. So we'll go in order on the screen. So Baron, why don't you come off of mute and throw a question at us? Hello, Baron. Need to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Actually, if it's okay, I'll just pass. I was recommended this meeting from a family member, so I'm just kind of learning and listening.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Thank you.
If you have questions later, Baron, just type it in the chat box at the bottom, the chat box.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
George Schaaf, George, come off of mute. Give us a question. Go ahead.
Sure. So I was just wondering, from all the business owners, what are the primary keys to success? If you could summarize it that way.
Roger Carroll, we'll start with you. 7 years in business. Why are you successful?
I think that we have enjoyed year over year 20% sales increases now for 6 years running, and I would have to say that it's because we treat the business so intentionally. About I don't know, in 2015, 2016, we started to chart individual metrics on a monthly basis. How many estimates did we write? Of those estimates, how many sales resulted from that? And how much product did we get out the door? And we have continued to give ourselves goals each and every month that we break down into 4 segments that go throughout the month. So every week we're reviewing our numbers and we're reflecting on what's going right, what's going wrong, what can we improve, what needs some help, so on and so forth. Does someone need help in converting some estimates? Do we need to shift some resources to installation to get our numbers up out the door and so forth? And I think it's that just being hands-on and being very intentional about where we're headed, setting goals that has enabled us to reach them consistently year after year.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Kobe Losberg, maybe a few less words, but shorter answers, Roger. Kobe, why are you successful?
I have less months in business, so of course it's fewer. But so as a relatively new Signworld owner, having been in business just 16 months, I think the keys to our success to this point has been reaching out and connecting to the community, to the chambers of commerce that I'm a member of, 2 of those, and the BNI chapter that I'm in, and establishing those connections with the community, through which I've gotten a lot of referral work. I've gotten a lot of, that's helped me build my sales. And the keys to trying to keep that success going for us right now, most recently, have been trying to focus on getting our processes solidified, standardized, so that we can handle the increasing volume of sales work that's coming in and not get stacked up. So being responsive to the customer is where that comes.
Jack Horner, why are you successful?
There's a number of things that have to be done. You got to hire carefully, you got to nurture. But kind of what Kobe and Roger just kind of summed up. In the beginning, you got to build relationships with customers and start learning what signs are. Then, as Roger has done, you got to start building processes. So you're working on the business and not working in the business. You got to mature the business as it grows.
And George, if I might add my 2 cents worth, I'll simply say, if you can deliver on time and on specification without fail, that's why you'll be successful. Okay, Nathaniel, come off of mute. You're up next. Give us a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in really the same category as Kobe and only a couple miles south of him. Uh, and I'm coming out of years of government service. Um, is there a big market doing this for government? Like Kobe, do you have NIAX codes? And are you chasing government contracts or are you going pure commercial? Over.
Kobe, you got any government work?
I don't have any federal government work yet because I haven't chased it, but I have gotten a lot of local, jurisdictional, county, and city government work. Done quite a bit. And I do plan to go after some federal government work eventually when I'm ready.
Roger Carroll, done any government work?
No, I haven't. One of the biggest reasons we're successful is first in wins. So what we do is when we get a phone call, when we get an email, we're there. We talk to those people, we get the estimate out to them quickly, and we find that being first in typically is one of the biggest factors for success in this business. I have done some government work, primarily through collegiate. So I do municipal work more so than federal government.
Okay.
College.
Jack Warner, did you ever do any government work?
I did a lot of city government, state government, county, but I didn't do any federal. Larry Foster, have you joined us yet? Are you on phone, Larry?
He's not on yet. I gave him the number though, so hoping for the best.
Why don't you give him a call, Sheree, and see if you can catch him that way?
Well, that's what I did. I called him.
Okay.
So he should be on any minute now.
Okay, very good.
Jack, government work?
I said I did some city, state, and federal, or city, state, and local, but not not federal.
Got it. Scott, come off of mute. Go ahead, Scott.
All right. So I was curious, as you think back, either in startup phase or just maybe any time along the way, if there's anything you could have done differently, what would it be?
Roger Carroll, what would you do differently if you had to start over?
I tell people when a new owner calls me, the one thing I tell them that I would have done differently is that I would have gone to a pay-per-click campaign sooner. Having said that, there's a lot of networking in the beginning. 66% of my business in my first and second year came from my networking. But then when I put the money into, when I invested into the pay-per-click advertising and directed traffic to the website, that's when it really started to kick in.
Okay. Kobe Losberg, what would you do differently 16 months ago?
What would I have done differently 16 months ago? I probably, and it's tough around here. I was going to say I would have hired someone who had more experience in the sign business, but the labor market around here was so tight that I had to take what I could get. And it actually worked out pretty well, but eventually I needed someone who had more experience in the sign business as we grew. And so I had to make some personnel changes a couple of months ago, and that's been great as well. And it's continued to spark our growth. So I would tell you, when your first hire needs to be someone who has to have experience in this sign business, not just doing signs in some other environment. Like the guy I hired had been doing signs for big box interior advertising installations for a long time, and that helped us. That did great for us for about 8 to 10 months, but eventually it overwhelmed his capacity because he didn't have the business background to fall back on.
Jack, tell us what you would do differently, as well as tell us what we current training as far as things to make sure you do right in the beginning. Go ahead, Jack.
My biggest mistake was you're always chasing a new customer instead of leveraging the customer you already have to who else they know and what other business you can get. It's the power of who you already know. No customer should be a dead end. And that's something that we train now.
Okay. David, come on from mute. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. So my question is, after doing some of the the research and watching some of the previous webinars that you guys had, something that I was curious about is how you exactly convey to the client how, why our service is what they should go with and how we're able to provide value to them.
Roger?
You know what I do? I have PDFs that I have pulled together based on certain sign categories. So if someone calls me and says, I'm looking for a sign over the receptionist desk for my new law office. Well, what I've got is I introduce myself. I send back to him. Now, this is before we've had the phone call. I send back to him a PDF that illustrates different types of law office signs. And then I call him back and we talk about those things that are impactful, why we did it one way in one situation versus another, so that we demonstrate experience and competency. And I do that as quickly as I can so that I'm, again, first in front of him and first to create that first impression.
Kobe, what do you do?
Well, I try to, as best I can, to convey that experience and confidence. So early on, you're going to have to just kind of fake it till you make it. But, and you might feel a little anxiety at first if you don't have any experience in the sign business. But my advice is to just plow right through it, and you're going to get there. And being able to make that customer feel on the other end that you know what you're talking about and that you're going to take care of them and that they're going to like what comes out of the product. Is huge. And then like Roger said, at some point you need to have a portfolio to fall back on. So we've finally gotten to the point where we're starting to have a portfolio of projects that we've done that customers look at on our website and they go, I like that, I want one of those. We go, great, they were happy with theirs, I'm sure you'll be happy with yours. In fact, that just happened to me yesterday. I was doing a site survey and the lady pulled out our Instagram and said, this is one of your signs, I want one just like it.
Jack Warner?
You're going to find that the reason you're successful and why us is that most sign companies are not owned by business people. Most sign companies are owned by former sign makers, some of those employees you might hire who at one point decided to buy something, couldn't be their own boss. But in most cases, they're technicians, they're single-minded, single task orientated, where I'm working on one thing now, and when I'm done with that, let me know what the next thing is. And so their heads in the sand. They don't show up for the appointment on time. They don't deliver the quote expeditiously. They don't have a project management system to juggle the project. So the experience with the existing sign companies is less than desirable. So that's why we're bringing people in that have business acumen, understand multitasking, understand customer service, following through with the deadlines, and giving the customer the experience that they're expecting.
Okay. Michael Aschi. Go ahead.
Yes. I would assume that your first hire is probably your hardest and most important. So what type of turnover have you experienced? What have you done and what did you do like when your first hire, if they called in sick or if they quit on you? Can you talk about if you had any of those experiences?
Roger Carroll, way back when your first hire, what did you do when in situations?
Well, I've been very fortunate in that when we started business in July of 2013, my first hire, who showed up July 8th when we moved in, was Brandon Chilcutt. And Brandon Chilcutt is with me to this day, and he's currently my vice president of operations. Now, that's the good side of that personnel puzzle. The other side is that I have gone through two or three dozen installers, and they're kind of a tribal bunch. And I got very lucky in that I hired a guy who was a member of that tribe, but subscribed more to my values and the values of the company. Has been with me ever since. But it is a challenge, and especially if you've got a promise made to a customer and that morning is the morning that one of your two installers decides he's going to not make it into work that day. So 50% of your labor force is gone at that point, and you'll have that. But it's something you muscle through, and you eventually have enough personnel that it doesn't impact you.
Kobe Losberg, your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Roger. You have to have someone who has the same values you have. And I was really lucky with my first hire in that he was very motivated, had great values. We were both working very hard on the business. But he was a designer at heart, an artist, if you will. And at some point, our sales volume got to the point where I couldn't afford to have him back there creating the Mona Lisa for every estimate proof. And it broke my heart when I had to let him go. But having someone who has the same values that you have, that is going to want to get up and come in and help you build your business every day, are the kind of people that you want. If they're just looking to pull a paycheck and wondering where the next good deal might be, that'll be when you start going through. And in fact, I have a quick one. I did hire, I hired a fourth person about 6 weeks ago to be an installer. And he turned out to be one of those tribal persons that Roger talked about. And now he's off doing something else just because I couldn't keep him 100% busy every day. And I think his ADD got a little best of him. But at the end of the day, he didn't share the same values we had, because I'd asked him to do a lot of things to help me get the shop set up in the back while he wasn't out installing a sign. And he couldn't do it. It just wasn't in his bloodstream.
Thank you. Okay, Larry Foster's joined us. Larry, are you there?
I am here. I don't think I'm on camera, but I am here.
Okay, so first of all, Larry, introduce yourself. Tell us about what you used to do, how long you've been a Signworld owner, and a little bit about your business. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I am located in Troy, Michigan. The name of my company is Signs and More. I've been in business now for 20 years. I used to work in retail. I actually worked for Kmart for 27 years. And when I left Kmart, I was the vice president of operations for the company. I'm in my third location. We started off in 1,700 square feet, moved to a 4,000 square foot building. And now about 10 years ago, I purchased my own building, which is 8,000 square feet. I'm a generalist, and this year we'll do just over $1.8 million.
Okay. And Larry, the last question was about turnover. Is it true that after 20 years in business, you still have your first employee?
I do. I absolutely do. Yep.
And tell us about turnover over the last 20 years.
Well, for me, it's wonderful because I came out of retail where turnover was extremely high. This industry is the opposite end of the spectrum. People that come into your organization, this is a career for them. They like this, and this is what they want to do. Very, very low turnover. My general manager has 20 years with me. I have somebody with 15 years. I have someone with 12 years. So the longevity is there.
And how many days a week do you play golf?
3 days a week. I'd like to squeeze in a fourth, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
So you are able to step away from the business during the week?
Yes, sir.
And Jack Warner, tell us about turnover when you ran your business.
I ended up with a crew of 11, and when I sold the business, my second employee was still with me. I had others who've been with me 6 years, 7 years, 5 years, on and on. If you hire carefully, you got to weed through some of the tribal people that's there, I'll admit that. But there is a career of people, and if you hire carefully, interview carefully, have others help with it, nurture the staff, it's a career for them, it's not a job.
And Jack, in order to reduce turnover, what do we do for a new Signworld owner in the beginning to help them?
Well, first we're looking for the journeyman that has the background, the experience with 5, 10, 15 years of experience. They can design the sign, they can print the sign, they can assemble a sign. We'll give you a lot of help in HR and training. We'll then give you the ads to place and tell you where to place the ads. You'll do the preliminary interviews to make sure it's something that you like. Our technical department will then interview them for knowing the hardware, software. I personally will interview them for multitasking, quality control, project management. But then we highly recommend that you go back to other Signworlders you met in validation that share equal HR values and have them interview because they've got more practice at it than you do. and then pay for a day's wages, have them go work in another operation, see how they actually perform on the job. I think the ones that have had turnover help are the ones that cut short some of those practices and hire out of urgency and aren't as careful on who they hire.
Okay. Danielle, come off of mute. Hello, Danielle. You're still on mute. You need to, there you go. You're on. Go ahead, Danielle.
All right. So a lot of good information so far, everybody. And so one of my questions is the first year. I've heard a lot about making sure that first hire is good, some issues with turnover, but what was the biggest challenge that you faced in your first year?
Larry Foster, if you can remember 20 years ago, what was your biggest challenge in your first year?
Well, I think when you get started, I think that biggest challenge is finding those customers that have the repeat business. You know, you'll get a lot of one-offs where they come in for a small job, and you're working really hard to find those customers that just come back every week or every month or whatever that is. So I think that's the biggest challenge as you get started.
And Larry, give us some examples today of your top 1 or 2 customers that buy from you every week, or I believe you have some customers that buy from you almost every day. Go ahead.
I do. I have a customer that literally does every single day. I get orders from a company called Pick and Pull, which is a chain of automotive junkyards. And they have a ton of low-priced, inexpensive signs. They're very ugly, and I love them because they need them. They're each of the locations has 24 to 25 acres, and they're filled with signs. And they come to me literally every single day.
Give us another example, another customer.
We have a company called Portable Church Industries that we produce about 150 to 160 churches a year, where we provide all the signage for trailers and all the signage that you need to set up a temporary church on the weekend when you open up in a school or a community center.
Okay. Roger Carroll, what was your biggest challenge in the beginning?
Biggest challenge was the management of your time, because you've got to, first you've got to be out there, you got to be networking, you got to be establishing all those relationships that will, bear fruit down the road as you begin to sell signs. Well, at the same time, it's just you and your sign maker, just one other guy. Now he's designing signs and he's printing them and he's putting them together and everything. So all those things you don't think about. There's no, for instance, IT. Okay, if something goes wrong with your computer, I can't call Jimmy down the hall like I could when I was in corporate America, and he comes down and fixes my computer. Everything you do is something that you have to handle personally. So the management of time so that you get enough time out in front of customers is a challenge.
As a result, Roger, today, who are your top 1 or 2 customers that are repeat customers?
My top, I've got Alcon Industries, which is a $4 billion company that is manufacturing contact lenses and various other vision things. I have Coca-Cola, and I have Brinks, and I was trying to think of some other household names, but a lot of those folks are very steady, and Alcon, we're virtually doing something there like every week.
Kobe Losberg, 16 months in business. What was your biggest challenge in the beginning?
My biggest challenge in the beginning, I think, was just learning the signs and the different types of signs and what they're used for, and how to sell them to the customer, to build that experience and knowledge base of my own about those signs. But I've learned that that's going to be an ongoing thing, because there's just so many different kinds of signs. You might always get presented with something new. And so what's happened is, over time management, like Roger talked about, as our sales volume has started to grow, time management for me has become the #1 challenge that I have, to the point where I'm starting to strategically try to figure out when the best leverage point would be for me to hire a sales associate. And that's top of my mind right now.
Can you name one or two repeat customers who buy from you all the time?
Not all the time, but we've had quite a few repeat customers. I got a couple of junk removal companies that we do all of the graphics on their vehicles. I have a moving company. We do all the graphics on their vehicles. I've had numerous, we've had some corporations where we've done repeat signage work for their interiors as they've expanded or moved their buildings. So not quite like what Roger has yet, but we're working on it. But we do have plenty of repeat customers.
Okay, Jack Warner, what was your biggest challenge in the beginning?
In the beginning, it's building customers and learning the acumen of what are all of the different types of signs you can make. And then as it goes on, it's managing all those projects and taking care of the commitments you have and juggling the schedule as both the guys have talked about. As far as large customers, my largest customer was a regional developer with Subway with several hundred locations, taking care of their constant rebranding. Subway changes every single sign every 4 to 5 years. I took care of several hundred locations. My second biggest customer is a chain of retail stores that opened up 12 to 15 stores a year, $20,000 worth of interior signs per store.
Okay. To my panel, maybe a little shorter answers. We still have a number of people to go and we're more than halfway through our time and we want everybody to have a chance. Hicks, come off of mute, Hicks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm interested in the journey towards finding what your niche is. Could some of you talk a bit about how you maybe started out, what kinds of business you were taking, and then how you evolved towards what kind of business you do now?
Larry Foster, have you focused, narrowed, have a niche, or are you a generalist?
I think we just lost him.
Oh, okay. Roger Carroll, do you have a niche or are you a generalist?
You know, I thought I was a generalist, and then I did some numbers here in preparation for a meeting I'm going to have with my team next week. And it turns out that about 50% of our business is in channel letters. That wasn't always that way. I mean, we start out like everybody. You take what you can get. So you've got banners, you've got posters, you've got post and panel signs, you've got all those things that you can do with a printer and a work table and so forth. And then because of my first hire and his background in electrical signs, we were able to do a couple of those, and that just kind of took off on its own. So I'm trying to keep my answer short here, Ken.
All right. Channel letters for everybody is they're outdoor lighted letters, lighted signs. Larry Foster, are you back with us? Come off of mute, Larry.
I am
Go
back.
ahead. Larry, after 20 years, are you a generalist or do you have a niche? And if so, what are your niches?
No, very much a generalist. We do everything, but 70% of the business that I do comes from my printer.
Okay. And Kobe Losberg, are you a generalist or do you have niche? A niche.
We're still a generalist.
Jack Warner?
Very much.
You know, in the beginning, we recommend your target customer is somebody that needs a sign and has money to pay for it. But after you've done some projects, it's either by type of customer or type of project or fitting to the staff you have, as Roger talked about one of his guys having electrical talents. My niche became restaurant chains and retail chains because that's the world I came from. I could speak their language and could help them understand what they actually needed for their business. So it became the type of customer and their needs were similar from one to the next. Ken, I'm going to start a couple of slideshows here that are going to go on in the background while we're talking. There's no audio to them. The first one is just showing you some of the facilities inside and out so you can see what operations look like and how unique and different they are. The second slideshow goes in a couple of parts showing you what is a sign, both from what we make with the initial equipment to what you're going to outsource to unusual signs you wouldn't think of as a sign. The third slideshow just goes to showing the wall of fame. While you start with simpler products, you end up with more elaborate, complex projects and showing what the world can come as it goes. So Ken, go ahead with questions.
Okay. Mike Forostiak, come off of mute, Mike.
So I'd like to tell Jack he ruined me because I used to walk around not noticing signs, and now he pointed them out to me, and I can't go anywhere without seeing all the signs. So thanks for that, Jack. My question is, I'm going to researching my competition, and just in my hometown here, I wasn't aware that we had a really big sign company called DMS Sign Connections, and this guy's been in business since '85, and he's got the trucks with the cranes and everything. So he handles a lot of the big competition. So so that kind of scares me a little bit because he owns the town. I'm looking at his portfolio, and how do you get started when you know there's a lot of competition around? And is it just, is the internet just your friend and it helps you get that business? Because I wonder how I would overcome someone as big as him. He's got to have 20,000 square foot, couple, trucks and things like that. So just curious.
Okay, we got Larry Foster. How many other sign companies are there around you?
I have about 200 in a 20-mile radius.
Does it bother you? Does it worry you?
Not at all. And every market has those giant companies. And to be honest, those customers don't want your customers. They want the big ones. They want ones that when the bank changes or merges, they want that job where they're going to do the big pylon signs for 50 locations. They're not interested in your customer.
So along the 20-year road, Larry, did you ever really worry about competition back day one, year one?
I worried about it the first couple of days, and then I haven't worried about it since.
Okay. Roger Carroll, 10 years in business. How many sign companies are there around you?
There are over 250 sign companies in the DFW area.
Does it bother you?
Not bad.
Did it bother you in year one, day one?
When I first heard that number, it was pulled together and compiled by a fellow Signworld company. And what I found is that there's just so much business, and for a responsive company, again, I'm going back to first in wins. Fortunately, there's so much business that, and the bar for many of these folks is a little low, that you can do it.
Okay. Kobe Losberg, how many other sign companies are there around you?
I don't know. I quit counting. Hundreds, I'm sure, in the Washington, D.C. area. It's a lot. When you search signs, they're all over the Google map, but that doesn't bother me because my phone's ringing every day and my inbox is filling up every day, and we seem to make our customers happy, and that's a good thing.
So you're busy?
Yes.
Jack Werner, how many other sign companies were there around you?
I looked at it as opportunity rather than a fear. There were 10 within a mile, 300 within the county, and I looked at it, if there's that many there's got to be a lot of business. Otherwise, why would they be there? I don't have to be better than all of them, but it's got to be better than some of them, get a share of it. In the beginning, you're taking business away from the inept mom and pops. Over time, you will take business away from some of those big guys, because while they're trying to go after bigger customers, the only way they have the bandwidth to do that is to ignore some of their smaller customers, and some of those smaller customers of theirs are going to say, I used to be top dog. I want somebody that's going to pay attention to me. So you're going to move in, you're going to slide up.
Okay. More than likely, folks, if you live in a reasonable metropolitan area, you will never have more than 1% market share. 1% market share. So there's lots of sign companies out there, just like there's lots of doctors, lots of dentists, lots of lawyers, lots of electricians, lots of plumbers, lots of refrigerator repairmen. But there's also lots of people who need us, lots of people who need us. Okay, Tom Bergstrom, you're up next, Tom. Come off of mute. Go ahead.
So we've heard some gross revenue numbers, and I'm curious about some of the other milestones, like break even or just comfortable even. So if people could relate their experiences, that would be great.
Okay, well, how about we do this? Larry Foster, how many months in business were you before you broke even cash on cash?
4 months.
How many months in business before you took your first paycheck?
5 months.
Roger Carroll, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
I was in business for at least a year, and I started paying myself in the second year.
Okay. And Kobe Losberg, 16 months. How many months before you broke even cash on cash?
11 months, but that included COVID-19.
Okay.
There.
All right. And you're taking a paycheck now?
Not yet. I hope to this coming year.
Okay. And Jack Werner, how many months in business before you broke even cash on cash?
Honestly, first month, taking first paycheck at month 6. Average in Signworld is about 5 months to break even.
Okay. Raul Hersey, Raul, come off of mute.
Hi, how
Go
are
ahead.
you?
Go
Thank
ahead.
you for your time. My question is about the search engine. I understand that it works by distance from your business. How far do you try to make it reach, and how much business do you get through the search engine?
You're a bit muffled, Raul. Are you on a speakerphone, or is there any way you can adjust and ask that question again?
Let me try just 1 second, please.
You're a little better. Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. No, my question was about the search engine. I understand that it works by distance to your business.
Mm-hmm.
So how far do you go into reaching with the search engine, and how much business, or what's the percentage of business that brings into your companies?
Larry Foster, not your repeat business, not your referral or your networking, but your network, your website internet. What percent of your new business comes from your website internet?
About 75%.
And how much do you spend a month?
I spend about $1,750 a month.
Okay. Roger Carroll, what percent of your new business, not your repeat business, your new business, comes from your website internet?
Oh, I'd say an easy 65, 75%.
And how much do you spend a month, Roger?
$1,000 a month.
Okay. And Kobe, what percent of your new business comes from the website internet?
Probably about 75%.
And how much do you spend a month?
Anywhere from, it varies on the pay-per-click, but $1,500 to $2,000.
Okay. And Jack, what would you say are the averages for the current Signworld owners?
We're recommending a budget of $2,500 a month. Some of that's going to go to pay-per-click advertising. Some of it's going to go to SEO over time. More and more of it will go to SEO, and you might lower your budget because the SEO is less expensive than the pay-per-click. The pay-per-click gives you the immediate results. The SEO is the long-term play.
Okay. I would think most new Signworld owners who have opened up in the last couple of years will tell you that somewhere around 60 to 90% of their new business comes from the website internet. But the goal is, as you do more and more business, is to get more and more referrals up the ladder, so that then you're not relying so much on website internet, but more so on bigger and better referrals to bigger and better customers. Chris Visger, I'm sorry, Chris, come off of mute. Hello, Chris. Come off of mute. There you go. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, I don't have any questions. I was just starting out the process. I was just
okay. If you do, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box below. Joan Stark. Joan, come off of mute.
Hi there, everybody. I do have a question here related to the location of the business. So how does the location of the business affect the type of customer that you're going to be expecting to get? I mean, it sounds to me like we were just talking about all this business that comes off the internet. In that case, it doesn't seem the location of the business matters all that much. But is there a difference depending on where you're located?
I'll start out, Joan. This is Ken. Basically, the customer never comes to you. So Larry Foster, how many customers come to you rather than you go to them?
The only time a customer comes here is if they're going to pick up an order. Once in a while, we'll have somebody sit down with one of our designers, but it's 5%, I would say.
So does location matter?
No.
Okay, so what's important? Commute to home, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Roger Carroll, your thoughts?
My thoughts are the single biggest driver for me in terms of where I locate my business is my access to interstate highways and to major thoroughfares. I'm in a metropolitan area. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. There's 8.5 million people here. And it's important for me to be at the confluence of a number of highways. That way I can go east, west, south, north quickly and get my guys on the road and out to do the installations. It's something that you think about down the road, and I got lucky with it, dumb luck rather, when I located this business. But when I am moving to my next business 6 months from now, it was a big factor in where I chose to go.
Okay, Kobe Losberg?
Yeah, we're in the back of a small industrial park, and I don't want people walking into my shop because it just distracts you. So to me, it's about where you can get the best deal on real estate that fits your needs. And I'm with Roger on the accessibility to transportation, especially when you're trying to go do something. So that's what's more important to me. Plus the commute. I sat on Google every day for 2 weeks before I chose this spot to make sure my commute would be good.
Okay, and Jack Warner, your thoughts?
99% of the time, you're meeting with the customer at their location. You got to see where the project goes. Rarely are they going to come to you. So the location is to have your equipment, to have your staff, to have your office, but it's not a destination for the customer. So convenience to home, convenience to getting to customers is what you're trying to accomplish.
I would say that most Signworld owners by far are located in the same zip code that they live in, with the idea that their commute to work is 5 or 10 minutes. Jasmine, come off of mute, Jasmine. Go ahead. Hi,
I don't
go
really.
ahead.
Well, I did have one question. Thank you. I was curious about how, I guess, we can understand shipping. Like when you have the orders and you want to ship I guess, your product out to your customers and things like that. Is there an apparatus there, like a platform for that? Is there a sort of logistics sort of, I'm not
Larry
sure how
Foster.
to answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Larry Foster, what percent of your business do you ship?
Oh, I would say 20, maybe 20% of what we produce, we ship.
And your people are have the facility and the equipment and the raw materials to package and ship.
It does not take much in equipment. It's more cardboard, foam wrap, tape. One customer that we do a lot of business with, we have to build crates, but that's the only customer that we have to do that for.
Okay, Roger Carroll, what percent of your business do you ship?
Maybe 1%.
Okay, not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Kobe Losberg, what percent of your business do you ship?
Very little so far, but I did recently, a few months ago, open up a UPS account so I can just schedule a pickup and they'll come by and pick it up if we put it in a cardboard box and ship it out.
Jack, in the zenith of your business, 1.3 million in gross sales, what percent did you ship?
15% maybe.
Was it a big deal?
No, but what you're doing, some customers you're delivering to them to make more customer interaction. Some you're shipping to them. Some they're picking up. Some you're having your guys install. It's a combination of all different ways that the projects are going out the door.
Okay. Sam, sign and print. I assume that's Sam. Sam, are you there?
It's Nisreen. Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hi. So I am looking into this opportunity. I have been working as a small sign and print shop since last 3 years. And I'm just gathering information right now.
Okay. Do you no questions right now?
No, I'm just, no,
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay. We still have about 9 minutes left. I think I got to everybody. So if you have another question, you can type it into the chat box or the Q&A box, either one at the bottom.
Ken, I have a question for the owners.
Sure.
And two-part question. One, how has COVID impacted your business, not only in March, but since then? But also, what about feeling safe in business as far as not being in front of customers all the time, having your employees safe? So talk not only about the impact of COVID from the business side, but from the safety side. Larry, what's your thoughts?
Jack, you might want to stop the slideshow.
When COVID first hit, it affected the business dramatically. I mean, for 6 weeks, we were down about 90% during that time. And then from that, it just started to grow with the restaurants that needed signage for drive-through, for carry-out. All of the businesses that we did, that we do business for, needed it for when their employees came back. The plants needed signage. So it picked up very, very quickly. As far as the safety, we have protocol in place. All of our doors are kept locked. We have signage on the front. Customers come in by appointment only. We have a cleaning routine. We clean all the touch points every 2 hours. We all wear masks and all of that. So, I think we all feel very safe.
Roger Carroll, your thoughts about COVID, and how did it affect your business in the beginning as well as now today?
It's a little quiet in the beginning, but then we really haven't seen any impact at all. We're up 25% year over year this year versus last. A lot of our business is going into construction projects now, and those seem to be moving forward. Certain segments are off, of course. Hospitality business, restaurants, and event business is off. But for the most part, it's business as usual. What we're doing is ensuring that we maintain our protocols here. We have a commercial cleaning company that comes in on the weekends. We have a temperature device up front. We've got masks. We've got the whole 9 yards. So it's like family. The safety precautions you take at home are the safety precautions you take here.
Kobe, how has COVID affected you?
March it affected us quite a bit. I mean, obviously we're still in the growth phase, but we had about a 60 or 70% drop off in March in our growth curve. But it picked right back up in April and has been marching right on up since then. It probably set me back a month or two, I think, on that breaking even cash on cash, like we talked about earlier. And then from a safety perspective, we're still pretty small. There's only 3 of us in here right now with 2,700 square feet. So we got a lot of room to give each other every day. When we work around each other, we wear masks. We have wipes. We wash our hands. We wipe things down. And then when I go out to visit customers or we go out on an install, I make sure and coordinate with the customers, especially if it's inside, that we will be have space around and not be interacting with any of their employees, and just follow the basic guidelines.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, and we have several more questions. So let's see if we can give some short answers and get through this. Does the industry have a peak or busy season? Larry Foster?
No, it keeps on going.
Roger Carroll?
No, it just depends on your customer breakdown.
Kobe?
Not enough experience to know yet.
Jack?
Other than a slight slowdown of new customers from now until the first of the year where people are distracted, they're going to reorder. They're not going to find a new supplier. But other than that, it's pretty much year round.
All right. Regarding other Signworld owners in your area and around the country, will you elaborate? Do you compete with them or do you collaborate with them? Larry Foster?
We don't compete. And if we do, we don't even know it because we have our own customers and, I don't know who they're doing business with. They don't know who I'm doing business with, but we collaborate all the time. I'm helping them and I get help all over the country when I have jobs around the country.
Roger Carroll, do you compete or do you collaborate?
a huge collaboration. We do installations when folks get clients here in the DFW area. I have owners that install for me in Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Lubbock. So it works beautifully.
Kobe Losberg, do you compete or collaborate?
Certainly mostly collaboration. I reach out to other owners all the time and ask, for assistance. Had some of them reach out to us for requests. I think there's a couple of owners here in the local area that are starting to recognize we're a growing sign business and are trying to figure us out. So I'm not sure where that's headed yet.
Okay, Jack?
My closest signer to me was one of my biggest customers. I made things for him, wholesale and equipment I had that he didn't have, and he made things for me.
Okay. Michael Aschi, I'm not sure I understand your question. Are you still on the line? Larry mentioned that competition is not after your business. Can he elaborate? I'm not sure I know what you're saying there.
I've got
maybe I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Michael. Okay. Michael, go ahead.
I thought Larry was going to speak.
Well, I think
Michael,
when I mentioned that, we have those big gorillas in our market as well, and they want the really huge jobs. I mean, they want when we have in our market today, there are banks that are merging. They want that customer because they want to do big pylon signs. They want all the signs for a 3, 4, 5 state market. They're not interested in doing vehicle graphics. They're not interested in going and helping a new customer that's opening up a single business. They don't want those kind of jobs. They want those giant jobs. And so that market is totally open to you. And that big, huge sign company that's out there, they can be one of your better customers because they'll come to you to help them with the smaller jobs.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next question is for you, Jack Warner. What is the most overlooked aspect of starting this type of business that leads to individual downfall or talk about failures?
Well, we honestly have better than a 90% success rate over the 32 years. That tells you a couple things. The system's pretty good. It wouldn't be that high. It tells you we're not perfect. There's people that we've allowed in that we realize later we shouldn't have. But yeah, we're pretty good at figuring out who is the right fit or not. So as much as you're interviewing us, we're trying to interview you. I think the number one failure is taking the no rules to the extreme and be out there doing willy-nilly and not being willing to say, hey, this part of it isn't working, and come back and having the coaching.
Okay. Mike has a question. Have you utilized other Signworld owners to get you through a bind or when you lost your one and only employee? Larry Foster?
Yes, I've used other Signworlds and they come to me frequently.
Roger Carroll?
Absolutely. If I don't have the capacity, I can find it.
Kobe?
Yeah, I've reached out to other Signworld owners quite a bit.
And Jack?
I think the biggest asset you're buying into is this collaboration of 360 operations that are bought into. I'll help you so that hopefully you'll help me when I need help. It's a family. Okay. more than anything else.
George Schaaf asks about good process. I assume you're meaning systems and procedures. We do a lot of training, George, a lot of training in systems and procedures. We have webinars. We have a webinar almost every day of the week where we're doing ongoing training and a lot of it around systems and procedures and good processes. Larry Foster, do you want to give us maybe 30 seconds thought on your systems and procedures, your processes?
Well, I think they start, with your POS system and things develop around that. You might use one system for daily jobs, but overall, it's going to come from your POS system and job tracking.
Okay. And Roger?
My best recommendation is for new owners to simply take that whole system process more seriously in the beginning. I didn't do a good job of that, but I'm catching up.
Kobe?
Yeah, I agree with Roger. I don't think I did quite as much at the beginning as I thought was necessary, and so we've been paying a little catch up on that lately. And the problem is if you wait too long, it's when your sales start growing, and now you're trying to juggle more balls at once. So,
and Jack, you want to elaborate on systems and procedures and processes?
Well, you know, you're going to go through several seasons. One, you got to learn what a sign is and how to sell signs, and then as you've heard Roger talk about building the processes to really so the business runs itself. We're going to talk in new owner training. Very first topic is exit strategy planning, and exit strategy means the business has to run because you've got it set up, not because you put your thumb on everything. So building processes is huge. The beauty of Signworld, though, is you don't have to do it our way. We're going to give you a number of different ways you can do it. And then for you to take it and customize it to your style, because that's why we're each different and why we bought into a non-franchise where we're not dictated by the corporate office, but we're allowed to do it our own way, having the help and advice of the other team members.
Okay, so we're out of time. There's one last question from Sam, Sign and Print. I think we answered that. How much money do you spend on social media, website, internet? And the answers that were given were anywhere from around $1,000 a month to about $2,000, $2,500. Jack, we're out of time. I want to say thank you to all of our panel, to Larry Foster, Roger Carroll, and Kobe. And Jack, you want to close it out?
I will. Thank you all for being here. Guys, thank you. We know you're busy and appreciate the time you're taking our day to help others. For those of you that are in the process of looking at Signworld, we still have a few days before we're going to break down a bit for the holidays. So get back to Ken or Dan or myself and have more conversation. We'll have another webinar like this right after the 1st. I believe it's Wednesday,
The 6th.
January 6th. Well, one of the things that you're trying to accomplish too is getting to an end game of trying to figure out if Signworld is the right fit. And if you are, our next Discovery Day is Friday, January 22nd. It is not like this where it's a large group of people and you don't know who else is there. It's that smaller group who are getting down deep into it and have attended it. It's a 7-hour day of Zoom. Normally we'd have our Discovery Day here at our California Training Center and have a tour and spend a full day together, but we can't do that grouping right now. So it's a more of a deep dive and be able to. So, but to get you ready for that January 22nd, you need to talk to other Signworld owners. You need to go visit other Signworld owners. Real quick, George Schaaf, you've been to a Discovery Day. How can you tell others how they can better prep to be ready for that Discovery Day?
No, it's very good. You know, you do it over Zoom. You can see everything. You know, basically just make sure that if you've got a spouse that's interested in joining this, that he or she's there as well, and you know, just carve out your time. There's a number of breaks. It's very productive.
Very good. So have a great day, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll all talk soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.